few more hands. Thanks. Elise?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me all right? Can I just get a thumbs up? I can do something weird with my microphone. Is that any better?
Yes.
How's that? Good. Okay. I look weird, but you can hear me. Greetings from Eulogy Country in far north Queensland. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thanks, Katrina, for that awesome presentation. I'm going to be talking briefly about the work that we are doing on the interference of the weapons industry in education in Australia. We're focusing pretty much solely on the interference of the weapons industry in primary and secondary education. We know that there are strong links with universities, but we have been focusing on just on that, that area. I'm going to share my screen with you now. Can we all see that? It's pink. All right. This is just a brief kind of sketch of the, I guess, the enabling environment that promotes the interference of the weapons industry in Australian education. Defence has a number of initiatives and programs that both directly and indirectly fund and enable the interference of defence itself, as well as the defence industry in schools around Australia. So up the top, I've listed a few of those programs. Some of these are direct grant making programs. For example, the Industry STEM Skills Strategy directly funds the Western Australia and the South Australia government to promote the industry directly to students. This year, it also has an extra $11 million in an open competitive grant for organisations to directly promote the industry to Australian school students. So this is kind of the Defence's big project because national security, because AUKUS, we need more children who both, accept the role of the weapons industry in life and who believe that this is an attractive career option. So under that, we've got state education departments, universities, charities, and so on, who all play kind of various roles in promoting and enabling the defence industry to access kids in schools. I don't know if anyone saw ASPI this week. It came out with this very cringy article, which was all about the role of pop culture and the youth in generating social license for AUKUS. Anyone who's a Charlie XCX fan will know that this is kind of the brat branding. ASPI suggested that promoters of AUKUS should appropriate pop culture, should infiltrate games and gaming cultures and so forth, because youth attitudes towards AUKUS will be absolutely essential in creating the social license and the workforce that's required, over the next few decades. These are a couple of quotes from people within the defence industry. They recognise that young people, perhaps quite rightly, have a negative view of the defence industry, and in order to build a workforce, they need to take strategic action to build social licence and to generate a talent pipeline so that they can kind of fulfil their corporate objectives down the track. So when we started looking at this, we realised that this was it gave us a really important clue as to how to counter this influence. And to do that, we sort of looked at some of the behaviour of other stigmatised industries, oil and gas, alcohol, tobacco, etc. As Katrina mentioned, the idea of state capture is really important here, and also the idea of commercial determinants of health. So this is sort of a thinking in public health that analyses the way that industries that actually create harm minimise public perceptions of harm and maximise their kind of corporate revenue at the same time. So oil and gas will say that never mind the oil and gas, we're funding renewables. Alcohol will say that it's funding responsible drinking programs and so forth. So the idea is to maximise the socially beneficial or the socially acceptable aspects of the industry. We see with the weapons industry, it's often we're building a safer world, a greener, safer world. They use language about innovation and reaching for the stars and collaborating and a bigger and better tomorrow and so forth. And we sort of understood that these kind of corporate strategies are also a weakness that they have. And when we think about them in this basket of harmful industries, it also gave us some idea about how we might start to address the issue. A couple of years ago, we looked at state education policies in every state and territory around Australia. Most states and territories have policies set by the education department that limit corporate interference into schools. We looked at all of these policies and saw that most of them had policies that would include tobacco, gambling, alcohol, and so forth on a list of industries that should not promote themselves to children in schools. We decided to try and get the weapons industry on this list of harmful industries. This involved direct lobbying to ministers and to education departments and education officials. We started this about 2 years ago. You can see there, we've given an ACT an orange dot a couple of years ago because it was the only education directorate that listed armaments in its policy as an industry that was not appropriate to advertise to children in schools, but we assessed that this was not being enforced. And Tasmania also had a policy that was actually very sensitive to the issue of the normalisation of weapons in society, but did not yet have an explicit prohibition on the industry itself associating with kids. That was then. Here's now. We're really very pleased to have changed policy in Victoria, in New South Wales and in Queensland. Each of those education departments now has a policy somewhere in its suite of policies that actually explicitly lists weapons manufacturers in the same list as tobacco, alcohol, gambling, and so forth. This in itself does not necessarily change the behaviour of weapons manufacturers, but it gives us a really important policy position to act from. We can now say that these education departments have accepted our argument that the weapons industry creates significant social harm, that participation in education is a form of advertising, and that schools and education departments have a duty of care to protect children from this advertising. We've actually seen this in action quite recently. Not too long ago, there was a story that came out in the Canberra Times where the ACT Education Directorate had declined to participate in a program offered to them by Northrop Grumman, a major weapons manufacturer, because after many, many emails back and forth, they decided that no, it didn't actually satisfy their policy conditions. They couldn't enter into this agreement because weapons manufacturers were listed on their in their policy. So this was a really great encouragement to us. We can see that this it can work, but in order for it to sort of have real impact on the ground, we've really called on the support of unions. Over the past year or so, we've seen the New South Wales Teachers Federation, the AAU at federal level, and also the AAU in Victoria adopt really, really strong pro-peace positions that have either made explicit or implicit reference to the role of the weapons industry in education. We've also been so pleased to see so much action from rank and file unions. I've put there 6 regions in Victoria. This is mainly due to the extraordinary efforts of a group in Victoria called Teachers and School Staff for Palestine, who have organised themselves to pass resolutions at sub-branch level in 6 regions across Victoria, which is, you know, many thousands of students and teachers. That's a policy of non-participation in programs that are associated with the weapons company. In Canterbury Bankstown in New South Wales, the Teachers Association there has also passed a similar resolution, and they're working to kind of, you know, expand that network of schools that also have that position. In the Hunter region, a group has formed around the University of Newcastle, but also looking at the schools in the area that participate in programs run by the university that have weapons company money. The Quakers are taking this issue up. Hi, Quakers, if there's any of you there today, thank you so much. And also individuals who are writing letters to their principals. They are writing letters to weapons companies. They are taking action kind of in, you know, in churches and in smaller sort of family groups as well to essentially promote the idea that of non-participation in companies programs associated with weapons companies. For now, I'm going to keep this really brief. I'm happy to take questions a little bit later, but I'll just finish with where we are at the moment. We're really focusing on 2 programs. One is the Science and Engineering Challenge, which runs out of the University of Newcastle, and the other is the National Youth Science Forum. Now, NYSF is a genuinely life-changing program. Past participants and people who have worked in the program have told us that it is an absolutely extraordinary opportunity for young people all around Australia who are interested in science. But the main sponsor, and in fact really the only sponsor, is Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin doesn't just give the NYSF money, its staff actively participate. Participants report it being in kind of career speed dating sort of arrangements with Lockheed Martin engineers. You know, they have tours of Lockheed Martin facilities, and Lockheed Martin is really actively promoted to them as the employer of choice for high achieving science graduates. So we're really focusing on that program as well. If you are, or if you know anyone who's ever participated in the NYSF, we would love to hear from you. Ditto the Science Engineering Challenge, that's a national program. It's run out of the university, but it's really facilitated by Rotary clubs around Australia who fundraise to send participants and also who host programs. We have been reaching out directly to Rotary Australia to try and raise this issue with them. I would say I've been disappointed with the lack of engagement from Rotary on this. If you're a member of a Rotary club or know someone who is a member of a Rotary club who is interested in this, I would love to hear from you as well. And we also continue to see action from schools and teachers. I get emails from parents saying, you know, my daughter's doing this STEM program. How do I know it's not associated with the weapons company? And we're asking those people to bring it up with school leadership with the hope of schools adopting policies at the school level to avoid any association with programs associated with weapons companies. I'm going to leave it there. I think we're probably a little bit over time, but I look forward to chatting more with you after, and please ask any questions. That's my email address there. Get in touch. Thanks very much. I'll stop sharing.